Bloomberg News.
This is Charlie Pellett. We're dining out with Ryan Sutton, and this week we take you to Sushi of Gari, which, Ryan, you say is one of New York's best raw fish joints, even if they sell Atlantic bluefin.
Even if they sell Atlantic bluefin, it's a big if. Here's the way I see it. Sushi restaurants are really the speakeasies of our era. When you look back to the 1920s, you had, places where you could get alcohol, even though it was illegal. Today's speakeasies are sushi restaurants. And of course, it's legal, completely legal, to eat sushi, even though we probably shouldn't be eating something called Atlantic bluefin. Its spawning ground was decimated, or possibly decimated, in the BP PLC oil spill. Completely overfished. It's a carbon footprinted fish. They're often caught near Boston, sent to Japan, sent back to New York, then consumed right in front of you. So what annoys me is not only does this restaurant highlight the fish so much in one of its tasting menus, it's the taste of tuna, it's the fact that you don't know you're eating bluefin tuna unless you call up and fact check it like a journalist.
In other words, you want a little more transparency in the menu.
I think transparency is a huge thing, especially in this, this era of farm-to-table dining. Not a lot of people like it. You walk into your everyday American restaurant, and your menu is a virtual encyclopedia. Next to every other item is a rock star butcher or a celebrity farmer, and you know the story of how this guy raises his cattle or slaughters his pigs. When you go to a sushi restaurant, you don't have that same level of transparency. It's not just about Sushi of Gari, this is about sushi restaurants throughout New York, and probably throughout the world. When you sit down in a sushi restaurant like Gari, you may get a menu, and on this menu, on the sushi menu, you won't see the word bluefin once, which I think is a problem. But what's even more is that the best way to eat at Sushi of Gari is to sit at the sushi bar and to order omakase. Omakase is the opposite of the menu as encyclopedia approach that you get at, all the farm-to-table restaurants in New York. You have no menu, and the chef just places one piece in front of you at a time, and it's delicious because you have that contrast of the cool fish and the warm rice, and he seasons it for you. But the lack of menus borders on disingenuous when you're essentially eating the equivalent of panda bear sashimi.
When you are sitting at the sushi bar, are you paying by the piece, or is there a set price for all the food you're consuming?
I often like to say that omakase is the most apocryphal form of accounting. At Sushi of Gari, they say that it will be around 10 pieces for around $75. Of course, it's never 10 pieces, and it's never quite $75. I went with a friend to the Upper West Side location. I think it cost us around $98 for a not unreasonable amount of food, not a whole lot either. When I ate until I was full at the Upper East Side location, there are 3 locations, I paid $150 for my sushi, and that's without sake or without dessert. And another problem I have with Sushi of Gari is that when you go to a good sushi restaurant, they say you'll get 10 pieces. Anything more, let us know if you're still hungry, or the chef will ask you if you're still hungry. You go to Sushi of Gari, they just say, all right, we're just going to keep feeding you. You tell us when you say stop, and oops, it costs a lot of money.
3 locations, any one better than any of the others?
The original on the Upper East Side is the nicest. It's also the ugliest and the smallest. Red carpeting, blonde wood all around. There's a location in Times Square. Don't recommend that one. That's where I made the mistake of not ordering omakase, and I was sat in front of a third-string sushi chef with a smudged schmuck. I got salmon looked like it had been, cut apart by scissors. The skin was falling off, and I sat next to a guy who watched an entire episode of The Shield on his iPhone while I was eating dinner. The third location, or I can't remember if it's the second or third location, there's a location on the Upper West Side. It's also pretty good. God bless the hosts. They sat me at the sushi bar, and the guy turned to me and says, I just want to have you know that you beat the chef Jean-Georges Vongerichten for a seat at the sushi bar. Lo and behold, 2 minutes later, Jean-Georges himself walks into the restaurant. So I got a seat at the sushi bar over him because I had a reservation. So props to Sushi of Gari on the Upper West Side. That one is actually called Gari of Columbus.
All right. What else is on the menu that you enjoyed?
To be honest, the bluefin tuna on the menu I really liked a lot, even though I shouldn't be eating it. I like the way they heat it up, and it just brings out the oils of the fish. It's like the Kobe beef of fish. It's so striated with fat and just melts in the mouth. What Sushi of Gari is known for, they're known for their really avant-garde approach to sushi, non-traditional preparations. It's not just about soy sauce. They give you a piece of bluefin tuna, and they put tofu over it. And it's like it's kind of creamy tofu mayonnaise, and you think, oh my god, this is just a deconstructed version of a tuna fish sandwich. Or they give you one of my favorite preparations, yellowtail with jalapeno juice, drizzles over the sides, numbs and sting your lips. This is actually a popular combination around town right now, jalapeno and yellowtail, but you know what? No one does it better than Gary.
All right. Ryan, would you go back? Would you rush back to Gary?
Well, when I get my bonus, I'll rush back because sushi, no matter where you get it, is going to be expensive. And just to be fair about Gari, like I said, my problem is they serve a tuna tasting menu, more or less, for $49. They're not the only one. There's another restaurant in town that also serves a tasting of tuna. I believe it's Old Bluefin, and that's at 15 East, and that costs $75. So both Gari and 15 East should drop their tuna tastings, and at least Gari should be more transparent about what it offers. Until then, I'm just going to sit down at the sushi bar and ask them for a non-bluefin omakase if they can do that for me. I'm sure they can.
All right, we'll leave it there. We're dining out with Ryan Sutton. I'm Charlie Pellett.
Hear more Bloomberg news reports on the Bloomberg Terminal at AV Go, on Bloomberg Television, and on Bloomberg Radio. Copyright Bloomberg LP 2010.